Okay. So first things first, we need to download the new BIOS, which we just did a minute ago. So I've downloaded that, and I've downloaded that. Microcode 129. I've just downloaded that and I've downloaded that. Now I need to put them onto the actual flash drive. These two. Temp. Whack these in here. Wait, what? Okay, what? So there's not an ME firmware update. I'm already running the ME firmware update. Exactly the same as this. Okay, I was already running the ME firmware update. It's just the microcode. Okay then. 2361. I've already installed this. Okay. So the other thing is what 7DC1. 7DC. Let's extract that. Alright. That's the BIOS file. Okay, so should be able to navigate to that. I've already got that. Should I run it again? Pretty sure I don't need to. Already running this. Guess I'm missing something here. Looks the same to me. Okay, so it's just the BIOS then. Right, downloaded. Let's go. I've backed up all my config, and I've saved the profile as well onto the memory stick. So I did a video walkthrough of everything because I can't reapply the profile afterwards because it'll be specific to the BIOS version. I've got to manually reapply everything, which is a bit of a pain. Right, so there we go. So we're on 1B2 at the moment. That's the BIOS. I had to, in order for the BIOS update port, USB port at the back of the computer to be functional, I had to turn on, I think it was a USB legacy thing, and I think I also had to return on all the Thunderbolt ports. I'll have to turn those off after I've finished. Come on. Come on, come on, come on. And I've already taken a load of benchmarks as well in the previous one. Did that this morning. turning off and it's turning on a lot at the moment. I haven't even loaded anything yet. I've just asked it to go into BIOS flash mode. I think it does take a little bit of time to get into it. This is going to be so difficult for me to help other people do remotely. Come on. Come on, flash mode. Wakey, wakey. Entering flash mode. Yay. Here we go. Right, so SanDisk. Temp. Wait, no. Temp. C1. C1. That one. Build date. Yep. Right. Sure you want to do this? Yep. So it's going from B2 to C1. Look. I have to set up everything again. Oh, my memory overclock. Ugh. That's the slow bit. I'll play the video at the same time. We can just reapply it all. Then we'll have to try tuning again. We might be able to do things like undervolting or load line calibration. Who knows? It's a new and exciting world. Or it might be rubbish. Leaning towards rubbish. This is Intel after all. You know, their stock prices have absolutely plummeted by like 30% following this stuff. Since they laid off all those staff and they've got this nightmare. 30% plummeted. Third of the company, third of the worth of the company is gone. Is it going to take me back into the BIOS now? Or is it going to... I'm going to press and hold delete just in case. Done. There we go. New BIOS. Right. Select your cooler type. So, yeah. Performance. They've renamed that again. That was extreme before, but that's the extreme settings. But I found I have to run 333 amps, otherwise I get Y cruncher errors. But we're going to go with unlimited, and then we're going to manually set these guys. Yeah. So advanced. So what's new? We got 1C stuff. Okay, so now I need to go through everything and reset it all, don't I? All right, so I need to play the video. Play the video. Where's my video? I recorded this earlier. Here's one I made earlier. I pause that. I'll put you on split screen so you can see both. In the bottom right is me updating it, and this is the video that I made earlier of the previous settings. So you can see up the top 1B2. I'm going to play the video and slowly go through all the bits. All right. Right, let's make sure that first. Advance that. All the same. Make sure that's that. Dynamic enabled disabled. I think that was all of that. Okay. Let's play again. Make sure sure they're all the same. I'm pretty sure they are all the same, but looking at the new BIOS, so you never know what they've changed. Yep. Integrated peripherals will be next. Pause that. Right, so disabling the LAN controller because I've got my own network card, so I don't need all that stuff. Don't need any Wi-Fi. I use Ethernet. We're disabling, that's more Bluetooth stuff. That's so disabled. ACH mode. I don't need an external SATA. I don't need that either. I don't plug any audio cables into the back of the motherboard. That should all be that. Back. Integrated graphics is going to be next. Pause that. So, oh, we've got a couple of extra ones here. IG monitor disabled. Okay, that's it. All I need to do for that. Play that. Thunderbolt. Yeah, I don't need that anymore. I can turn that off now. Disabled. Back. USB. Right, what did I have for these USB ones? I had enabled for handoff and legacy disabled, but that's connected to that boot drive. So if I ever want to use the thumbstick tool for the BIOS, then I need to enable this again. Didn't I used to have both of those off? I can't remember how I used to have that. Port control, that's pretty much the same. Play on that one. Power management, I didn't do anything in there, that's default. Nothing in there. I'll disable the MSI. Oh, hang on. Disable this. Driver utility. Those. That's when you install a new Windows. It pops up a little app that says, do you want to install these chipset drivers and stuff? I normally do that through the MSI Center and then uninstall the MSI Center afterwards. So don't need that. All right, so is that everything else? Oh no, boot. Boot. Okay. What we got? Disabled, fast boot, disabled. These are all disabled. Yep. That thing. It's interesting that I've got two options in here. I think that's all fine. Security, got to disable secure boot. So I can use USB, HID USB-F. Okay, I think that's it. Hello, morning. So I'm just doing a quick stream. I've got a BIOS update. Okay, cool. Done all of this. Just did all of this. I think we're on to OC. There you go. Right, pause that. Right. So we're going to go manual on the per P core limit. Oh, hello. Is that new? No, this is E core. Not E core. What P core? That. I want. Don't want these two boosting to 62. So basically setting them all to 59. Oh, yep. Disable. Cool. Next thing I went into is this. Okay, so now disable hyperthreading. We only want half the E cores on. Two states we want disabled. Enhanced turbo we want disabled. That's to do with the 6.2 boost, which we aren't using. Right, so now we've got to set the power limits. 320. 320. And then this was 333. And then I have advanced on that. AC/DC load line 60 and 110. 110. I'll play that again. Make sure I've got all that. I think that's all lined up now. Need to make sure CP's off. Thing's evil. What's this? Under voltage protection. Normally have that on. That's already enabled, but I'm going to enable it manually just in case. Ratio extension. If I was going above 5.9, I think that's I think only if you go above 6.2 or 6.3, you need the ratio extension for that. So I can leave that one alone. This is the stuff I need to turn off. Disabled. CEP is evil. That will take off 25% of your performance. That's that CEP. I'll leave it for the GT. Or do we take it off for the GT as well? I can't remember. That's for the ring. I'm going to take it off for the ring as well. I can't remember if I have it off for the ring on this. Maybe it's just only visible for here. We're going to turn those off. Right, anything else? That's on auto. So just to show you, we seem to have the ability to turn off the ring CEP as well. Or is that the integrated graphics? Is GT integrated graphics, or is it? Or is it the ring? I can't remember. I can't remember. I think it's the ring. It might be the integrated graphics, which we turned off anyway, so we'll just disable it for them. Right. Have I forgotten anything else? I've forgotten anything else. Also. Okay, so press play on that. Back to the main mode. Ring ratio. We need to set the ring ratio, which we established yesterday. Overclock that to 49 instead of 45. 49 gave the best result for that. I think GT's the integrated graphics. So the ring ratio we're going to set to 49 instead of 45. I know it says 29 there, but that's with it on a power saver mode. Once you put it on a high performance power plan, it goes to 45. So 49 is not too big an overclock. Anything else here? Yeah, we need to set the memory stuff. So much to set manually. So, gear 2, well, we want the frequency. That's 7,466, but we want gear 2 version. Okay. That's fine. What does that say? 20? Oh, that's what it was before. Link, auto disabled, fast boot. Yep. Fine. We need to do the memory configuration next. This is going to take a bit of time. This is finicky. Alright, so let's do those top ones. They should all be the same. Oh, wait. That goes to false. Right, 2N. 34. 45. 45. 45. 56. 481. We got auto, then we got 65535. Let's play again. That's WR. Fine. Timings. Let's pause there. Pause. RTP is going to go 12. 4 is 16. 32 on this. 4 on that one. Then we got the next set. Get down to these next bits. Got to make sure we're testing like for like between the BIOSes, so everything has to be the same as it was before, other than the microcode. 8, 1, 1, 20, 20, 1, 1, 62. When it says 1, it means it's not actually a valid for this memory and processor. That's fine. Next set. Third one down is 48. 3 of them. 4, 2, 42, 138, 15. It's all auto. It's all auto. It's just power down mode I think I need to set. I think I had anything in miscellaneous. I'm sure it's just the power down mode I need to turn off. Disable the power down mode. Okay, right, done. Display. What's next? I don't do anything in the voltages. That doesn't work. Might try that later. Okay, I need to set the memory overclock voltages to 1.4. Auto sets the second one. I think we're nearly there. So CPU features. Next. What's that? Right, so disable Intel virtualization and the BTD. Everything else is fine. Back that out. Right. What have I forgotten? Anything else I've forgotten? I think so. I think I just need to do the fans now. Let's do the fans. Okay, so that all full speed. I'm pretty sure all full speed actually does all of them full speed at the same time. But pretty sure that this is anyway. We'll do it just in case. Yeah. We're letting I've got fan control software on the operating system that controls the fans, so you just set them to all full speed in here. If you use smart fan control, then it ends up conflicting with your Windows software. Right, I think that's everything. So I'm going to press F10 and a massive list comes up. Big list. Everything we've changed. Okay. Yes to that. I'll close my videos. Right, back to here. Hey, sorry guys, I haven't really chat. I really wanted to make sure that those settings were right, so I'm focusing. Do we have sound? You can't hear me? Yes, we have, okay. Can you switch screens? No, I need to do the comparison, sorry, at the time. So you could see with the video. All I did was just align it. Hey, Andrew. Hey, Mike. Right, so updated the BIOS. We got the new Intel's fix for the instability issues in the form of a microcode update. So you have to have a whole new BIOS to have a microcode update. So they just released it this morning. MSI did. So I recorded all my settings in a video. I've just updated the BIOS and manually reapplied all the settings again. And I took a load of benchmarks before I started. So we're going to run the same benchmarks again after this is updated in a minute. Yeah, well, I'm not particularly hopeful, Mike. This is Intel we're talking about. It sounds like they've just tried to fudge something. We'll have a look. I'm expecting a 1 or 2% performance loss. That's what I'm expecting. It's a good sign that it's booting up. It's a good sign. I'm hopeful that if this stops the voltages going up and down too much, then I might be able to have a few more dials to turn in the BIOS. So things like load line calibration and undervolting. If I can start using those two, I can tune it even more, which will be good. So, do I just assume that that's all good in the BIOS now? I don't know. I might have a quick look in here before. I might go back to the BIOS in a sec. I might just have a quick look in here to see what's going on. If it's nerfed my 5.9 gigahertz, I will be not happy. It'd be interesting as well to see because I've had to lower my current limit, so I should be able to run 400 amps, but I can't. I get instability. Okay, so voltages are about the same, 1.45. That's about the same. I've still got my 5.9s. That's good. So bear in mind, I've applied my overclocks. I've applied all my optimizations to this new BIOS already out of the box. I didn't even bother testing it without the optimizations. So I've jumped straight to my optimizations. All right. I want to know, before we do any kind of major benchmarking, I want to know what these voltages are doing. So come on, really? Where do I save that? BIOS bench. So I ran a load of BIOS benchmarks before we started. So I got Y cruncher score. I ran a Cinebench and I measured the voltage differences and how hot it got, how many watts how much power it drew, and what it went down to. So 5,900 down to things. So let's do that again now. I don't care really what the benchmark result is at this point. I'm more interested to see what this range is going to do for voltage. So let's run this quick. We'll reset the stats before we run it. So resetting the stats. Ready, steady, go. I'm more interested in the voltage than the number right now. We'll run proper benchmarks in a sec. I want to see what the voltage is doing. I mean, that is a lot lower. It was 26,700 this morning. But I wasn't running these at the time. So new one. So what are we looking at? 1.454. It's a tiny, teeny bit lower. Look. 4 microvolts. 1.261. So this actually kept it. That actually drooped more. Don't like big droops. And it still went down to 5,600 lows. And what was it pulling? What power is it pulling? Temperature 82, so that's actually worse. 2 degrees worse temperature. It pulled 261 watts compared to 262, so it's effectively the same. So I don't really see much of a difference there, to be honest. Maybe I've just disabled half the things that it's meant to be using to do this. Andrew P, I think he's just bought the Fortnite guide. I'll go and sort that out in a minute, Andrew. I will sort that out in a second. Okay. So that's interesting. All right, so I want to reboot quick and just kind of waltz through the BIOS very quickly. Just make sure everything's set. In the meantime, let me sort Andrew out as well. What is Andrew's ID? Andrew, what's your ID? What's your Discord thingy? Remind me, please. OD1. Okay, cool. I can find you. Gotcha. There we go. You've added to the Fortnite one. It should pop up. You should have a premium Fortnite dash guide section pop up now in the Discord. You'll be able to get everything from that. Any questions? Let me know. Right. Okay, so let's have a look. Cool. All right, so that looks normal. This looks normal. Yeah, the GT stuff's disappeared now. I've disabled it there. There was the graphics card. So we've still got the 333. I want to see now with these microcode changes whether I can up that back up to 400. If I can get that back up to 400, I'll be really happy. Let's run some benchmarks because this does check out. Let's run some benchmarks, see where we're at. Yeah. Come on, come on, come on. Okay, test. Excuse me. All right. What should we run first? We need to wait for it to wake up a bit. We'll let it get to 2 minutes before we run any tests because the Windows is kind of starting up, so it wouldn't really be fair to run a benchmark while it's still starting up. So wait for 2 minutes before we kick that off. This is going to take a little bit of time anyway. So I think we'll start with Y Cruncher. As I say, and wait for 2 minutes for this to come down a bit. We've got the correct number of cores. AMD benchmarks only. Wait, what? Why am I posting in here? What? I've been tagged in AMD benchmarks only. Can you test core latency on your CPU? Core to core latency. What is that? Between cores. I'll have a look at that later. All right, so have we calmed down a bit? Oh, something just decided to do something there, but P cores all seem nice and quiet now. Got some stuff running on E cores, but anyway. All right, so let's run this, see what score we get. Assuming it's stable, that's the important thing. .2. I think we were 21.0 before. Oh. Wait, no. BIOS bench. Oh, man. We were 21.0 before. Might run it one more time just to double check. 21.213. Run it one more time. .183, so a little bit better that time. It's still lost a little bit though, look, compared to 019. Right, let's try Cinebench R23. Oh, wait. What's that? Alright, there we go. $26, oh, that's a lot lower, isn't it? 26,294. So we have lost 300-ish points doing that. Let's have a look at Cinebench. Let's see if this is stable. R15. We're 4177 this morning. Stable at least. Wow, that's a lot lower. 4044. Yeah, we're losing quite a bit of performance here. Right, one more time. .059. Best one we've had. So that's quite a drop. 4177 down to 4059. I mean, if it's more stable though, I can turn up the amps, which would help performance. So we might be able to dial some bits up after this, if it's fixed the instability issue. Right, so let's do hardware info 60. Let's do that and that. Oh no, wait, that and that. Get a reading of the sensors as well. So this will add the load and this will detect what's going on. Yep, okay, ready, steady, go. If this fixes the instability issue, I'll be happy, because that means I can probably then start turning stuff up. And hopefully get the performance back. I can do things like undervolting or load line calibration or right, so look. So what are we looking at? The range 1258. That's lower to 1.460. That's pretty much identical. So that hasn't changed. Temperature, package. 81. Okay, I didn't change much. How much power did it draw? 262, still 262, and it went down to a low of 55. Okay. Hence the performance drop. Got a couple of 5.5s there. 5.5 gigahertz. So let's run an OCCT now. Quick benching that. What's that? One of these. Come on. Hurry up. Benchmark. Restart. I'll wait 10 seconds because it's the free version. Start. And we've still got to run I'm going to run the Fortnite one benchmark after this. I ran this morning. That's about the same, I think. 117.
The test schedule is complete.
Thank you for letting me know. I hadn't noticed. Right, there we go. So that's before and after. So latency is about the same. That's about the same. That's lost a little bit of read bandwidth. That's lost a little bit of write bandwidth. That latency is actually lower. That's a little lower. That's a little lower. This is worse by bandwidth. 43, that's worse latency. Worse bandwidth. That's about the same. That's a little bit worse. So that's interesting. So yeah, it definitely has made the performance a bit worse. Let me run a Fortnite benchmark, see what it did in that. Excuse me. Water. This was the one I ran earlier. Ran one earlier. So 590 to beat with that BIOS. It's a C1. Right. Steady. Go.
Capture started.
It's already down to 5.8. Already down to 5.8 gigahertz, the CPU. That's really annoying that that's gone down to 5.8. First thing I'm doing is seeing if I can bump the current back up again. Stop that happening. It's capping it at 5.8. That's really annoying. That should be 5,900. Yeah, well, the GPU was staying at 3000 this morning as well. Oh, I don't know why it sometimes goes down to 2850. I just don't know. It's weird. Look, I am now capped at 5.8 gigahertz. I don't think it's even been 5.9, is it? It's just sat at 5.8. Oh, 5.9. Just did a 5.9. It's gone back up 5.9 and then again. Okay, the very first thing I'm looking at is increasing the current. And then see if I get stability test. Let's see if I can pass stability tests for Y-Cruncher and Cinebench R15. The very first thing I'm doing, because that, I think, is a current issue. I'm going straight up to 400. But that's massively more 5.8 now than it was. I'm sorry, Intel, but I paid for a KS. I paid a lot more money for a KS, so I could have at least 5.9. So having a microcode that basically downclocks it to 5.8 the whole time is not an acceptable solution. I briefly hit 5.9 again there. I mean, not only would that be affecting my FPS, that will be affecting my latency. That will be increasing my latency. Alright, so this is C1. Horrible latency spike there. Big spike there as well. Okay. So we've lost 4 FPS in this BIOS. And a horrible big spike there too. Let's have a look at the stats. Yeah, I mean, look at the difference. 5,806 average, 5,889. It's massively downclocking it. Is it running cooler because of it? 2 degrees cooler, 4 degrees cooler for peak, but average is exactly the same. So I'm just losing performance for no reason. I'm not even getting lower temperatures. Yeah, I'm not happy about that. So what I want to know now is, with the stability built in to the microcode, can I now increase the amps back up to 400 and still have stability, and then it keeps the 5.9? What I want to know. I'm at 333 amps right now. That was pretty much the limit that I could go up to. I'm going straight up to 400. My concern is that the microcode works in tandem with CEP, which I've turned off. That's my concern. I'm not turning on CEP. I mean, I'm not losing 25% performance through CEP. I'm not doing that. That's hot garbage, that thing. Not turning that on. Right, so 333 amps. Let's go for the Intel official limit of 400. And see if we can get this stable. We shall see. But yeah, I'm not happy about that. And basically bought an enthusiast overclocking CPU that should run at 5.9, and I should be able to overclock it to like 6.2, 6.3, and it's downclocking to 5.8. Yeah, that's not good. Yeah, it's the current protection. It's current exemption protection or something. But it nerfs performance by like 25%. So I'm not running that. It is part of the Intel defaults. And in fact, in the BIOS is that MSI thought so little of it that they actually came out with a BIOS update a while ago. Where is it? Which one is it? They renamed it. Look. By disabling the CEP function. So they actually came out with a whole BIOS update to get around CEP because they realized how bad it was. But MSI did. So there's no way I'm turning it back on again because it is awful. All right. So 400 amps. Can we get this stable? Let's start with Y-Cruncher, because normally Y-Cruncher throws errors and crashes with 400 amps. Anything more than 333, it starts crashing. Looking good so far. 21.0 as well, so we've got the performance back. That's good. I might run it again just in case. Sometimes it works one time and then another time it crashes. If I can get my performance back here, I'll be happy. Yep, 21.0. So that's stable, that's good. No, this is the real test. Will this crash? Ready? Will it crash? No, it didn't crash. Still don't have the performance back though. So it was 4,100. And we're now 4,000. So I've still lost about 100, but run it one more time. We've got some stability. We might be actually able to properly overclock this CPU now. Ooh. Yep. Yep. Stability, people. Check Cinebench R23. Because it's not really a good idea. If you've got an equation, right? Power equals volts times amps. So W equals V times A, right? If you're limiting two of the things in that equation, you're limiting the amps and you're limiting the watts, then the volts doesn't really have much play, and then that's when you get the crashes because it's trying to do something it can't because the other two are locked down. Okay, 26,229. So the performance is still pretty pants. A little bit better, but now that we've got the amps back up, it should maintain 5.9 better in game. Let's have a look at PY Prime quick, 4 billion. This is normally about 15.8. What did I What did I change? I put the 15.7. I put the amps back. I basically put it back to the extreme profile of 400. So I was having to go down to instead of 400, which is the extreme profile maximum for Intel. I had to put it down to 333 in the previous BIOS because it was crashing Y Cruncher and Cinebench R15. So I had to lower it. But as a result, it was then making my CPU teeter between 5.9 gigahertz and 5.8 gigahertz. And with this new BIOS microcode update, it was in-game was pretty much sitting at 5.8 the whole time. So I know for a fact that if I move the current back up to 400 amps, then that should keep the 5.9 more solid. So let's run another benchmark now. We want that. We want that. See if we can keep the 5.9 up in game a bit more now. Yeah, because this is not good. The fact that this is going down to 5.8 almost permanently, that's bad. Whereas before, I was pretty much keeping at 5.9 most of the time. The average is much closer to 5,900. But then the new BIOS has pretty much kept it almost exactly at 5.8 the whole time. So I'm hoping that with the higher amps now, it should keep it closer to 5.9. Should keep it bang on 5.9 the whole time, I think. I'll be really happy if this is better performance now. This could be better performance than what I had it before in the previous BIOS. This allows me to do that. 5,900, good. Keep an eye on that little number. We want this sitting at 5,900 and we don't want it going down. 9. Like that. Ready, steady, go.
Capture started.
I think the FPS looks higher already. Oh, it's down to 5.8 though. Ah, it's the VF table. How am I going to get around that? How am I going to get around that? It's up at 5.9 again a little bit. It's sitting at 5.8. That's the voltage frequency table saying that. It's obviously under load. It's V-drooping a little bit. So maybe I can add load line calibration to stop it doing that. Okay, it's going to take a bit of playing this, I think. I want my 5.9 back, minimum. I want ideally be running 6 and 6.1, but I definitely want that back. I mean, if I set it to, even if I set it to 6 now, it's just going to go straight down to 5.8. That's really annoying. But at least it's fixed the fixed the current issue by the looks of it. Everything's stable on 400 amps. So that I think that gives us a bit of wiggle room to do other things now. The fact that that's downclocking, and it's definitely not, I mean, it's not downclocking because of the temperatures. Look, 61. It's not anywhere near 100 degrees centigrade. So it's downclocking because it's hitting a voltage frequency. So that it can't get enough voltage, so it's downclocking the frequency. So do I add a bit of voltage? I mean, if I can't get... See what you get. You might get better performance and lower temps. I don't think they are lower temps. That's just the thing, Paul. They're not lower temps. It's what, 1 or 2 degrees higher than it was this morning. But it's not even lower temps. So, as I said, I think the temps were pretty much the same. I have an issue with performance. Every time I play Reload, my frame is dropping so bad. Reload?
Capture finished.
Reload should be solid. Shouldn't be getting drops in Reload. Alright, let's have a look at that. $333 amps. This was 400 amps. Okay, so I've got the best, actually got the best FPS so far with this. That's even better than the previous BIOS. Because I could bump up the amps. I can now bump up the amps, so I'm getting actually better performance. The lows aren't quite so good though. Was that smoother? Yeah, it was smoother. Let's have a look what the difference in temperatures is. 60, average 60. I still think it's average. Yeah, these are all average 60 CPU temps anyway. It's not much better. Look. It's exactly the same. It's exactly the same. So it's a voltage issue. It's got to be. So maybe I need to just fix the droop. Yeah. This is restricting it. I'm getting slightly better performance with the amps now, so that's good. I'm glad that's fixed. Now, how do I fix it so that I'm actually getting the frequency that I've paid for? Uh, So what can we play with now? So I'm setting all the cores to 5.9. I've got the ring ratio at 4.9. What can I play with here? I don't really want to use load line calibration. Maybe I can go lower this. Maybe I should go lower this. Should go lower on 100. Higher values load the higher CPU voltages that could stable the system. Higher value loads the higher CPU voltage that could stabilize. Well, I mean, I'm running. I want higher voltage so I can have. I don't think I'm going to test that. It's got to be that the voltage is dropping more. It's got to be. Because it's not a power issue. It's not going to be pulling. It's not going to be pulling 320 watts. It's not going to be pulling 400 amps. So the only thing that could be restricting it is the amount of voltage it can pull. And if the voltage is drooping, the trouble is, it's so much. If I start playing around load line calibration, then it adds so much temperature that I lose the. Well, we'll try it. F10. So auto's mode 8. Mode 7 is basically the bare minimum I can change the droop. Have you cleaned out your shader cache directory? Worth doing that. You might have some conflicts. Clean out your shader cache directory. Right, load line calibration. So we've now got. Actually, let's just have a look at this. We've got less droop now. There'll be less voltage droop under load. How do you do that again? You go into %local app data %. You go up one directory. You go local low, NVIDIA per driver version DX cache. You do select all, and you do delete, and you skip ones that it can't do. So if something's using it at the moment, then it will be locked and you can't delete it. But if you're not running Fortnite at the time, then it won't be. I mean, that'll be a Fortnite one there. That's 16 megabyte one. And then to start Fortnite up. I want to get a score, and then I'm going to run it again with Hobber Info running. $26,200, so it's about the same as it was before. I mean, I would have thought I'm getting thermal throttling. I think I've switched. I think I've just exchanged voltage throttling for thermal throttling here. So what were we, 82 before, 82 degrees centigrade? Let's have a look. We can watch the V core, see what the droop is on that now. Watch the V core, 1.459 under load. $1.394. It's nowhere near drooping as much. But look, CPUs are now into the 90 degrees centigrade instead of the 80s. That's what I'm working on, Air. I'll tell you in a minute. Live testing going on. Oh, that dropped it a lot. Holy moly. 25,700. Wow, that's low. Right, so what do we droop down to? We droop down a little bit. And, God. Look at the package temperatures now. 93. We've got 10 degrees centigrade from putting that load line calibration on. We're still drooping into the 5.5s. Let's see what it does in game though. What did I have it as? Data. What did I have here? Drooping. Yeah, I mean, we're added 10 degrees centigrade just by stopping it droop. And we're still going down. We're still going down to 1.278. So it's only saved like, I don't know, 20 microvolts. And we've added 10 degrees centigrade. Oh my God. Load line calibration sucks. This used to be so much easier with old Intel CPUs. 210 amps. What power did it pull? 273 watts. That's a terrible score. So I don't think load line calibration is the fix here. Don't think that's the fix. So what is the fix? How do I stop it dropping to 5.8 while I'm playing the game? Wasn't doing that before. How do I stop it doing that? Doing it from a voltage frequency curve. Definitely not doing it from temperatures. It's not throttling from temperatures. So what is it throttling? What's throttling it? I want my 5.9. I should be able to get like 6.1 here, 6.2. I've had 6.2 stable before. So why is it drooping so much in game now after the microcode update? In other words, how do I get around the microcode update and keep the performance and the stability? That's what I've got to now retro engineer. Crazy. What are my dials I can turn to turn this up? I could... change the core voltage mode and actually add a little voltage. Do I want to add voltage? I kind of want to go down voltage, not add voltage. Well, we're definitely taking off the load line calibration. That just doesn't work. So auto's the same as 8. But as soon as I go from 8 to 7, it adds 10 degrees centigrade, which is ridiculous. So what can I adjust here? How many milliamps could I add? Wait. No, this being offset. Needs to be offset. Plus by CPU. What are we going to add? I need to work out how I can. Is it in milliamps or is it in millivolt? I don't remember. I can't remember what I used to set this to. Something like that. That's 10 millivolts, which is nothing really. Can't remember the scale I used to use. That's 10 millivolts. Let's go. I don't really want to increase it though. It's not that different to what it was before. I'm not sure I want to do this. Any suggestions on how I can get around the microcode changes? Because it seems to have created a new VF table, a voltage frequency table, which is basically on the CPU that says for this voltage you get this frequency, right? And my frequency is dropping in game, and it's not due to thermal throttling, and it's not due to power throttling or current throttling. So that only leaves the voltage going down. So I could bump up the voltage a little bit to kind of keep it into the 5.9 gigahertz range. Yeah, that's the kind of thing I'm thinking of right now, but I can't remember how much voltage I need to add to this. Is that going to be too much? What did I just do? I mean, I'm sure I should be able to do 50 millivolts. That's adding it. Okay, I'm going to add 50 millivolts and see what happens. If I can just bump it up into that 5.9 range. But then again, how am I meant to then use 6.0 and 6.1? It's just going to downclock it, isn't it? Although if I set it to 6.1 in here, then will it go down to 5.8 still, or will it just notch down one? Ooh, that's interesting. I don't know. I definitely need to keep below about 1.45 volts, but I think I've just added 50 millivolts, so I'm going to be sitting on 1.5 at idle, which I don't want to do. See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? We'll take a while to run. Ba 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 bum bum. Okay. So yeah, look, I'm pretty much sitting at 1.5 now. Yeah, the table might. Yeah, you're right. That's what I was thinking. Maybe I should do that. So this is definitely running more than the 1.45 that I normally kind of see it at. But look, it just downclocked it to 5.7 there. Why? Why did I just downclock it to 5.7? Oh, what are you doing? What are you doing, Intel? Why did that just droop to 5.7? Drop to 5.7. Why? I haven't exceeded any thermal throttling. There's been no throttling. Look, no thermal throttling. Reasons for throttling. Look, reasons for throttling. That entire table there is no. There are nothing throttled it. So why did it go down to 5.7 there? Why? Look, they've all done it. Oh, it tells. Look, the voltage hasn't changed. And it's dropped it to 5.7 for literally no reason. No reason whatsoever. There is no yeses in any of those columns, and there's no... So why has it done that? Right. Oh, I'm not happy. Wasn't doing that before. It wasn't doing crazy things like that before. What has just downclocked those? Every single one of the P cores, briefly. What did it? There is no record of any throttling for thermals. There's no reason to throttle at all. What is going on? Unless it was the power plan, but why would the power plan do that? We're in performance mode already. This does not seem more stable. It seems to be avoiding crashing, but in terms of the actual performance, the performance seems unstable. Crashing is stable, but performance is unstable now. Right. I'm going 6.1. Intel, you are going to be having me join the class action lawsuit at this rate. Again, this is not a solution. You are selling something based on packaging that says 5.9 gigahertz. And then if it doesn't do that anymore, then you've done a bait and switch, which is illegal. 6. Taking off the other volt. Leaving that as auto. Right, 6.1. Here we go. The voltage frequency table isn't dynamic. But what it will do is if I'm putting 6.1 in here, it will match it with a higher voltage. It boots, that's a start. I've put 6.1. Okay. That should all be 6.1 right now. I'm not even on the load. This is just desktop. It should all be 6.1. Every single one of those should be 6.1. Now 5.9. Why is it going now? Tell me why. That still no performance limit reasons. None. So you can basically put whatever number you want in there and Intel will just do its own thing. Now, I think that's what's going on. This isn't a cooling issue. The only reason that could be downclocking is because the voltage frequency chart says, I'm sorry, you're only getting that amount of voltage. You're not going past 1.5. No way. So is there now like a ceiling on these CPUs? You can put, I could put 99 in here and then it would just still stick at 6 because it says, no, well, you're now being driven by the voltage, not the frequency anymore. The voltage is in the driving seat. The frequency is just what happens once we tell you what voltage you're going to get. Was that what's going on? Surely you should say what frequency you want, and then it should look up on the VF chart what voltage is applicable to that. But at the moment, it's saying, no, you're not going over that amount of voltage, so this is as much as you can get. Yeah, let's also have a look at this. See what kind of stats I get for Y cruncher, etc. I'm not getting 6.1 right now. Yeah, that much. I used to. Used to be able to put 6.1 in there and it was stable. It was just not better performance. $20.9. Oh, we were at 20.8 before. Is this still stable? Still stable. Seems to be prioritizing stability over performance is what's going on right now. So a little bit worse performance than what we had at 5.9. I'm upset about that. It shouldn't be downclocking it to 5.8. What did I have this morning? 26,700-ish. 26,300. Right, let's run an in-game one. See what it does with the frequencies. Remember, this is 6.1. We've set it to in the BIOS, and it's not getting there. So I've run 6.1s before. Watch, I've run 6.2. No wait, that's version. Stop doing that, please. Alt having me. There we go. 6.1 all cores. Sensor data. Oh look, solid 6.1 in game when I've run 6.1 before. Not letting me do it, is it? 61 degrees centigrade as well. It's not even running hot. So it's been done on this computer. Right now, saying 6.0 there. I don't know, to get 6.1, do I now need to put in 62? This is ridiculous. Intel didn't used to be this bad though. My old Intel was awesome. My i9 900KF CPU was awesome. It ran for like 5 years, solid FPS, incredibly low latency. So there was no reason to think that the new CPUs, no, I don't recommend structures. There was no reason to think the new CPUs would be worse. So yeah, it's driving me nuts. This. Right, so we're down to 5.8 already, look. You ready? Ready? We're just sitting on 5.8.
Capture started.
Oh, peaked at 5.9. As a reminder, I've put in the BIOS 6,100 and we're getting 5,800 right now. So I'm not very happy. This microcode seems to just be basically reducing the clocks. That's what it's doing. It's lowering the clock speeds to stop it crashing. Not that Fortnite ever crashed for me. Never had crashes in Fortnite. It was only kind of in Prime 95 Cinebench that it was crashing. I'm not happy about that. Yeah, I think it is part of the microcode update. I think it's basically saying, right, if you're on this, this is the most voltage you're getting, and so you're going to have your frequency down blocked. I cannot now get my 5.9 without going back to an older BIOS with. So I have to choose now between running 400, being able to run 400 amps and stability, or being able to get the frequency of the CPU I paid for. And now I need to choose between the two. Because I don't seem to be able to get that. I mean, it's popping its head up to 5.9 occasionally. It's certainly not temperatures that are throttling right now. Look, 59. Temperatures are fine. So the only thing that's throttling, certainly not power, pulling about 180 watts right now out of the 320 limit. And it's not going to be current. You're not going to be hitting 400 amps. So the only thing that's throttling could be the voltages. Or it's deliberately said, no, you're not going above 5.8. That annoys me. I want to be able to find an overclock that can run like at, I don't know, 6.1, 6.2, if I can keep the temperatures down. And now it seems that Intel have hard-coded that you can't do that.
Capture finished.
You can't even get the frequency that's on the box. It's crazy. This is insane. Oh, it's that. It's 61 picos. Old BIOS, new BIOS, same settings. New BIOS, same settings, 400 amps. 61 picos. It's actually worse than setting it at 59 at the default. Actually worse performance. Lost 2 FPS. No, it's keeping it pretty much solid at 5,800. Yeah, no difference at all. So me setting the picos from 59 up to 61 has literally not changed the CPU clock at all. Hasn't done anything. It won't, that new microcode won't let me run at the out of the box speed that's written on the side of the packaging. Is 1%, 2% lower in performance though? I mean, I can get the performance to what I had it before. Well, I suppose the lows are a bit worse. But in terms of top end performance, I can, if the new microcode, if you then increase the amps to the maximum you can run, is the same performance in game in terms of FPS. But it will be worse latency because I'm running a lower clock speed. So I'll have worse latency. .2 milliseconds. I am streaming, yes. Sorry, buddy. Oh, wait. Intel newer CPUs can be faulty and can be good. It's literally gambling. I've had 2 now. And this is a brand new one. 90% of people on the internet. .2. What do you mean by 2.2 milliseconds? What's 2.2 milliseconds? These are FPS, not milliseconds. Or is that an older thing? That was 3 minutes ago. Okay, so it may be a different test. I don't know what to do. How do I get my frequency back? How do I get my frequency back? It doesn't seem to matter what I set now. I want my frequency back. Come on, boss. What can we do? So 6.1, it completely ignores that. Doesn't matter what you put in here now. You can put 1,000,000 in there and it will just do what it do. The microcode will just say, nope, you're not having it. So my box, out of the box specs are this. And in game, it's not doing it. So what could I do to maintain 5.9? I mean, am I just going to have to throw voltage at it? Maybe I can take those down a bit. What are my other dials I can use here? change the AC/DC load line. Instead of 60, go with 70. Let's try 70. All I want is 5.9 gigahertz. I'd be happy with that. That's not overclocking at all. It's just basically the speed I should be running for this CPU. And I'd be happy with that. But the fact Intel have now downgraded it, I'm not happy about. So this should have a little bit more voltage now. I think the Intel defaults are 110, 110. But then that nerfs performance. So maybe if I creep up to that, it can keep it steady. I think like BuildZoids recommend, before this, BuildZoids I think was recommending running like 50-50. Maybe even 40 something. All right, so it's a little bit higher than the 1.45. Go on these for a sec, see if these dip down. That one's dipped down already to 5.8 for no reason. All the no's. All right, let's try that in game. See what that looks like in game. I mean, I'm not going to recommend people update to this BIOS unless I know a way around of getting the performance back. If I can figure that out, I'll start recommending people update to this. I can't. I mean, it would be great to be able to use load line calibration, but I think the AC/DC load line is the most fine tuning I can actually use for this. Replays. Oh, it's that. Already dipped down to 5.9 there, 5.8 there. It's already doing it. I mean, I'm not even running anything and it's doing it. Okay. Is it worth seeing though if this is in the right direction or I need to go into the other direction? No, it's already doing it. So let's. Do I need to be going lower than 60 or higher than 60? Try 80. Let's go the whole hog of Intel defaults. See if this makes any difference. All right. When I ran this before, it was a lot worse performance. It had a load of temperatures and. But I mean, at this point, I'd rather get thermal throttling than just throttling for no reason at all. Yeah, man. .46. So look at the picos right now. We're seeing at 5.5. That's even worse. So I think we're going the wrong way. So that's interesting. We're now down to 5 5s. So maybe I need to go down to 50. I think we're going the wrong way. So that's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, okay. So we were on 60 before, so let's go crazy and go down to 40. It might not be stable though. Should we just kind of should we try? Let's try 50 first. If I can get 5.9 stable on 50. Right. So instead of that, let's go 50. We're not on direct current, so we're on AC. We're plugged into the mains. So let's do that. I mean, if this was a laptop, then I'd need to do the DC one as well. The DC one's not really relevant for what I'm doing. Boots, that's a good start. Right, what are we looking at? Oh, we've got some 5.9s in there. Look at that. Is it going to drop anymore? What did I set it to? 50, right? The voltages are lower. 1.43s. So we're running lower voltages and we're getting higher frequencies. Go figure. Okay, so we need to make sure this is actually stable. Lower voltages is always good, as long as it's as long as it's stable. That means less temperatures. Well, we may have just found our dial to turn. No, modular redundancy check failed. Not stable. Although this one's running. No, creating mini dump. No, okay, can't do that one. Not stable. Well, this is going to be fun. Here we go. So we need a number between 50 and 60 now. What is the correct number? So let's go with 55. That's half the difference. And we'll half the difference again. Why everybody starts asking loads of questions on the Discord or whilst I'm streaming when I'm not available to actually answer any of them? Why do they wait? 55. This isn't going to be a one size fits all solution, is it? This is going to require people actively messing around with their AC/DC load lines to get the frequency that they paid for. It's just not a solution. Who's going to know how to do this? Not many people. I mean, a little old lady got a new computer to play Fortnite on. Barely can turn it on and start up Fortnite. Crashing all the time. Somebody says, oh, you need to update your BIOS. She goes, what? Good luck with that. What's a BIOS? I'm getting hungry. It's 12 o'clock. This is going to take a lot longer than I thought it was going to take. So we're up to 1.438 now. We're running 5 nines. Are we stable? Is it safe? Is it safe? Well, that's running. It's running. We've got under 21, which is a good score. Run it one more time. We are down clocking now. Look, 5, 6. What? Why are we down clocking? If we're not hitting any power or temperature thresholds, why is it down clocking? Is it just the droop that's doing it? That was 21.2. That was a worse result. Let's see the stability of this one. This is running. This is good. Worse performance, but I am running this in the background. So, all right, let's try a Fortnite replay. I just want to get it to 5.9. It's not too much to ask to get the performance of the thing I've actually paid for. Can't believe I'm having to mess around with the AC/DC load line just to get this. The standard MSI one is 60-100. It used to be 60-110. The standard MSI one is 60-100 before you change any of the defaults. The Intel default is 110-110. That basically downclocks you straight down to 5.4 from 5.9 without you doing anything. Seeing at 5.9, oh, straight down to 5.8. Oh, let's go to 5.9 again. All right, ready? Well, at least we're starting at 5.9. Still on 5.9. All right, we may have found a solution. Keep an eye on it. I think the original one does dip down to 5,800 when I fly into railways off the island later on. I stand with frame chasers on this, and microcode is pointless because you still need to optimize your BIOS settings to get up to microcode is only for people who run default BIOS. Yeah. But saying that, Kagami, this BIOS update has allowed me to increase my amps from 333 up to the Intel recommended 400. And it's then stable in Y-Cruncher Cinebench R15. So I'm now not having issues with being able to pull enough current. So that, in that perspective, that is a good thing. But I have lost, yeah, I have lost 1 or 2% performance because of it. But then you can potentially get that back with some tweaking. But yeah. It looks like we got the 5.9 back at least by changing the AC/DC load line. So this has let me increase my current limit from 333 up to 400, and I've changed my AC load line down from 60 to 55, and I've now got the frequency that I'm paying for, that I paid for. So this, in theory, should be the best result when we look at the chart in a minute. And I've got the stability, and I've got the higher current limit. So yeah, that's the other thing I was saying. If this microcode is linked to CEP, then that's a problem because I'm disabling CEP. Because you lose 25% performance with CEP, so I'm never running that rubbish. But it does do something. The microcode is doing something because it's downgrading my frequency from 5,800 to 5,900 to 5,800. And it's stopping me going to 6.1, 6.2, stopping me doing that. So it is doing something. And it's helped me do the current limit from 333 up to 400. So it's definitely doing something, even though I've disabled CEP. But I'm pretty sure it's meant to work in conjunction with CEP. So, I mean, we could turn CEP on, and I'll show you what the performance is like after this. But I'm very happy that just looks like it's got near 5.9 for most of that replay. So let's have a look. This is, what have we got? AC/DC, 55, 110, AC/DC. Right, so this, in theory, should be the best one yet. In theory. And it is. Oh look, I've just gained 3 FPS on the best one I've had total. So this is this third one down is the BIOS this morning. I took this first thing this morning before I updated the BIOS. So this has allowed me, this microcode update has allowed me to now tune my CPU more because it's made it stable, and now I can kind of go up, if that makes sense. So that's now the best one. So all I've changed is I've installed the latest BIOS. I've increased my current from the previously restricted 333 up to 400, and it's stable. And now I've decreased my AC load line from 60 down to 55, and it's stable, and I've got better performance. And I should have my 5.9 back. Yeah, it's pretty much sitting at 5.9 now. Like it's gone down 2, so it went down briefly to 5.8, but it's pretty much sitting at 2. And if we look at what it was doing this morning, it was actually dropping even more, 89 versus 98. Temperature wise, 61 versus the previous 60, so we've gone up 1 degree centigrade for that extra performance. So I'm happy with that. So I'm sticking with this now because I'm now getting more performance, same temperatures, and it's stable on everything. You don't it has done this unless they've done something else in the BIOS. I could not run more than 333 amps before this microcode change. I couldn't do it. It makes YCruncher throw errors. If I ran 333 amps in this BIOS, 333 amps, and then if you compare these two together, look. So this is these are on the exact same settings, these two. Wait. Exact same settings. So this is before, this is the old BIOS, and this is the new BIOS with the microcode update. And you do lose a bit of performance. And it was down clocking as well. If you look at the analysis, so it was pretty much running at 5.9 most of the time, and then all of a sudden it's pretty much running at 5.08, 5.8. So that's the difference between the two BIOSes with absolutely no changes. There and there. Temperatures were the same. It's just basically running at a lower clock speed. It's like it said, it's like it's prioritizing clock speed over voltages instead of voltages over clock speed. Now the most important thing, according to this microcode, is, oh, you don't want to go too high on the clock speed. No. You don't want to go too high on the voltage. So I'm not running any higher voltages than I was this morning. And now I've got the ability to increase my current, which has allowed me to get better performance. So it has done something. And I've got CEP turned off for all of these. I'm not running CEP with any of these things. I mean, we can run CEP now just to, I'll show you the difference it makes to performance. And maybe they fixed CEP so it doesn't do that now. I don't know. So I am now happy, but how am I going to tell, how am I going to even ship through doing this to his PC? Because that AC/DC load line is probably very particular to my exact CPU and setup. So I can't just like say ship, right, you need to run 55 AC load line now, because I don't know. I'll have to do some actual testing. If I'm doing actual testing, it's not much of a YouTube video saying, yes, you do this. Rue, how you doing? So your latest video on YouTube, is it safe to run same settings I have on that CPU? Wait. On that CPU, I don't know. You'd have to look up the specs, what your core boost spec is. I'll look it up for you in a minute once we're back into the operating system. But yeah, I'm happy with that. So we've got, I run, out of the box, this CPU should run 5.9 on a high performance power plant on boost. Yeah, it should be, it's meant to boost these two clocks, overboost these two clocks to 6.2. But why do you ever even need that? That's for Cinebench single core bragging rights. It's just, you never need that. So why is it even bothering doing that? So setting them all to the same is what you should do. So the other thing is I've increased the ring ratio because I did a load of testing on this the other day. So I went from 45, the maximum is 50. 50 wasn't as good as 49. It wasn't stable. So I've set it at 49. So that's the other thing I've done. And then in the advanced CPU configuration, I've set the extreme profiles to 320 because that's what the extreme Intel profiles are for a KS. For a K or a KF, then this should be 253, 253, and 400. And then load line, I've had to adjust the load line down from 60 to 55 in order to compensate for these microcode changes, because it's obviously done something weird with the VF tables. So I've got my performance back by doing that, and now being able to do this. So I'll have a look at your specs in a minute. But I'd still not recommend for gaming running more than 80 cores. I'd still recommend turning off hyperthreading. I'd still recommend turning off C states. I'm pretty sure that if I do CEP support right now and then enable these, yeah, it's going to nerf performance, especially if I think it might actually, CEP might actually need C states on, but then you're going to be adding a ton of latency. Anyway, we'll add CEP and I'll show you the performance difference. Yeah, so we're turning it on. Dread to think what this is going to do. He's using 55, is he? I mean, Rue, you should be able to see in the BIOS where the section I've just gone into, where you can change the boost clock frequencies, where you set it to manual, it should actually show you what the default is. So I've had like 59, 59, 59, 62, 62, 59, 59. So all I'm doing is I'm copying that across. So it should actually show you what it should be. If you've got an MSI motherboard, I'm not sure what it should be otherwise. Okay, let me go in the browser and just look it up. What's the specs? Intel 14700KF spec. Right. So 5.6. You shouldn't be going over 5.6. You should be setting them all to 5.6. What you should be doing. I'm sorry, 5.7 and 5.8 are overclocking. I mean, you can try 5.6, 5.7 and 5.8 and see if they're stable, but you're going to have to try that yourself. This says 5.6. Intel say 5.6. But yeah, as I say, have a look in the motherboard. If it says 5.6, 5.6, 5.6, and then it's got some extra boost, over boost or something, just use that. They're the Intel specs. Right, let's have a look. So let's start with this. See what it's doing. CP. For other PC, I think you just need to set both to 110, 100, and then go down by 10 on the AC and find the sweet spot. As I say, the default for MSI for my motherboard is 60. That's what it sets it as for the AC. We ran it at 110, didn't we? And it was it took it straight down to 5.4. What's this? Why isn't this starting? Come on. There we go. So this is running. Oh, okay. Wow, that's running low, low, low. Look, 1.4 right now, 1.3 right now. It's still running the 5.9s. Well, that's interesting. Now it's at 1.4. 1.3. So it's keeping low. It's keeping these frequencies solid. CEP. Maybe they've done something to this. Well, let's see what it does to performance. Because as I say, I was losing 25% performance with CEP. Start with this. What are we looking at? We're normally about 26,100 last time, 26,200 last time. I know if you run CEP, you can't undervolt. They actually conflict. You try and undervolt and have CEP running, they conflict. Oh, 24,000. Look how much performance I've just lost. 24,000. Not 26,500, 24,000. Wow. This is why you don't run CEP. It's actually kept the frequencies up pretty high. So the voltages look nice and healthy, but it's nerfed the hell out of the performance. Still no no's in here. Shall we see what it does with Fortnite? What's it done with that? 260-ish. Still pulling the same amount of power. That's 200 amps. But yeah, you've lost a... I mean, what is that? What is that? 24,462. Yeah. Divided by 26,500-ish. Okay, so I've lost 8% performance. It's not as bad as the 20% I had before, but it might actually be bigger if I put hyper-threading back on, I put everything back on again. But yeah, that's nowhere near as bad as it was. So CEP is losing you 8% performance. Let's do a Fortnite run. See what difference it makes in that. Might help with temperatures, to be honest. CEP. But if MSI came out with an entire BIOS specifically for turning off CEP, that's an entire BIOS version that says we turn this off, then you know it's not a good thing. All right. Let's see what CEP does. Right, here we go. Got solid 5.9 already. Oh, we need to do that. And we need to do that and that.
Capture started.
Are you guys finding this useful, or are you just watching my pain having to sort this out? It's entertaining. For those of you on AMD, you're just laughing at me. Is that what's happening? I don't know whether you're finding this useful or not. That's you reckon the CP was bugged before and now it's not? I mean, we're sitting on 5.9 right now, but again, why has my GPU gone down from 3,000? That's a Jekyll and Hyde, that thing. I don't think it makes much difference in terms of performance for the results for whether the GPU runs at 3000 or 2985. All about the CPU and the memory. I mean, 8% performance. Just want to keep up. The info goes away every year. As I say, the only things I've done are I've updated the BIOS, which includes the microcode. I've reapplied all the normal tuning things I normally do. And the only things I've changed, only two things I've changed, is one, I've been able to increase the current limit from 330 amps to 400, which is 400 the Intel recommended max, which I couldn't do before because it was unstable. And the other thing I've done is I've dropped my AC, alternating current load line, from 60 down to 55 to keep the frequency up, because the microcode seems to be suppressing the frequency. So they're the two things I've changed. But now we're running a test with something called Intel CEP, which is like current execution prevention or something, which stops the current getting too high and spiking. So it's meant to kind of smooth out the power draw, as it were. But that before now had a 25% performance decrease, but it looks like it's now only 8% performance decrease since the microcode update. But let's see what performance decrease, if any, it makes in game, and if it doesn't make a performance decrease in game, then I might actually leave it on. Yeah, it came out today, Patriot. You need to up the voltage a bit in MSI burn. Right. I don't think it's temperature related. That's the thing. It normally goes down as temperature goes up, but temperatures are pretty much the same. So, right. So same as last test, but with CEP on this time. Let's have a look. Is it better or worse than the last one? It is worse. We've lost 3 FPS. Let's add all the other ones we've done today. Right. So the very best. So it's, even with that, actually, it's still better than the old BIOS setup. This one's the old BIOS setup here. 590 FPS average. So that's what I was running before, this one here. That is the updated BIOS then, with me being able to increase the current limit. So that got a bit more performance. And then it got even better performance when I then reduced the AC load line down from 60 down to 55. But then if I put CEP on, then it is dropping the performance a bit more. It's making the lows a bit worse. That we've lost 3 FPS. Let's have a look what the difference is in temperatures between those. Interested to see what the difference is in temperatures. So 61, 61. Yeah, it makes no difference, does it? There's nothing in that. Kept the frequencies pretty much the same. There's nothing in that with CEP on and off. See any difference? Even that, the GPU clock's running lower and the performance is exactly, it's a little bit worse. The temperatures were the same for those two, so I don't know why it's downclocking it a little bit, that GPU. Pulling 1 watt less power. Peak was 2 watts lower, so not much difference there. There's not much in it. So in game, you're losing a little bit with CEP on, but you're losing 8% on like things like Cinebench. Yeah, the GPU is lower, but as I say, the GPU is bored out of its mind. That is, as soon as it gets a frame to show, it's going done. And then it sits there waiting forever for the CPU to then give it the next one. So having a frequency difference here and there, if I took off the overclock, the performance would be the same. I'm only really doing it for the tiny, teeny bit amount of latency. So it doesn't really make a difference. The performance is pretty much all determined by the CPU and the memory. Yeah, so I don't know. Would I recommend other people keep CP on for stability? Maybe. Does seem to be running lower. Does seem to be running lower voltages on idle, which is interesting. Does seem to be keeping the idle voltages lower with CP on, but 8% less performance. And I mean, what are the percentages there? Let me have a look at the comparison again. The percentages between here and here. Okay, so if I say that's 100%, so that's 0.5% performance difference, 99.5 to 100. So I don't think you're going to notice that on game whether you keep CP on or off. I don't think you can remember because people need to test for their motherboards. Yeah, I mean, maybe. Depends what they're running by default. And not many people actually change the AC/DC load line manually to start with. They're probably either running Intel defaults, 110, 110, or they're running their motherboard defaults, which for MSI is 160. So they're probably running one or the other, most people. But yeah, I mean, I'm turning CP off. I'm going to turn it off. No, I'm happy now. I'm happy now. I found a setting. I found a BIOS change that is stable and actually has more performance than I had before. But it did take some FAFOing, as it were. So yeah, so updated BIOS. And the only two things I've really changed are from before are I've upped that my current limit. I can now up that from 333 to 400 because it wasn't stable above 333 before, and I've lowered that from the defaults for, say, I think it's. I mean, I'm not on DC. I'm not a laptop, so I'm not direct current right now. I'm on a computer with alternating current plugged into the mains. So I'm only using that one. I'm not using that one. So the default for MSI here is 100 and then 60. That will be the defaults for 60. But you need to kind of change it to the advanced. I think it's normal. I can't remember what normal is. I think normal is yeah. So normal is the same as the 60 and 100. Advanced then shows you 60 and then 100, and then you can change it. And then Intel defaults are both 110 and 110, which is terrible performance. So you can either go normal and then you'll get a bit of frequency drop, or you can go advanced and then set it so that this is, so as I say, when you go advanced, that will be the default. And then if you want to keep the same frequencies you had before, go down by maybe 5 and test. Me changing the DC will do nothing because I'm not on a laptop. I don't have a battery. I have a full tower computer that's plugged into the mains, so that's that one. Only switches to the DC one if you've got a laptop and you pull it out of the mains. That's why it kind of downclocks, because you're having a bigger number here. So I could put that to anything I want. I just wouldn't be using it. This is the important one if you're running a computer. Not running a laptop that's unplugged from the mains. As I say, the maximum is 110. That will give you the worst frequencies. The lower that you go, you'll get better frequencies. You'll get more consistent frequencies, but you might get instability. So you need to test for instability. So you want as low number as you possibly can that's stable. What you want. Okay. So I think we're there. Oh, I was going to turn off CP again, wasn't I? Don't want it. Don't want it. So turning off those. So hyperthreading off, C states off, half of the E-cores for gaming platforms. Your extreme Intel profile max for your CPU, whatever that is. That's either 253 for a K or a KF, and it's 320 for a KS. Match that to that, 320, 320. You set 400 as the limit for the current. That's the Intel max. And then you set the advanced, and then you can change the AC/DC load lines. Got it? Everybody got it? That's the correct answer, apparently. And change all your P cores just to be whatever the default is. Just change them all to be that for the limits. Because you just, I don't know why anyone needs this. This is just for Cinebench running single core threads tests for bragging rights. It's whenever you're running a game, you will be running across all your P cores, so these two won't even kick in, because these only kick in when those are the only cores that are active, which doesn't happen when you're gaming. So stick them all to 5.9. But remember which ones are the fastest, and then set your GPU affinity interrupts for that, and your USB controller interrupts to that affinity. Right, I'm going to go make some lunch. Anybody got any last minute questions before I disappear on this? I'll answer other questions later. But yeah, the ring frequency I've overclocked. That was quite a cool boost in performance. Obviously, I got my memory overclocked. My XMP 7200, but I've managed to up it to 7466. That's it. No other questions? Everybody happy? Everybody know what they're doing now? Good luck. I'm going to try and work out some instructions for ship now. We'll try and do this. We'll try and do this during the week, I think. He's getting up really early at the moment. I'm going to have to wake up and then do it when he gets up. Oh, I might have to do it after a stream. Yeah. I don't have to do it for Rapper. He's got an AMD, so that's fine. Yeah, good to go. F10. That should have disabled CP and the DC load line. Okay, well, we're not using it. All right, guys. I'm going to go and sort some food out. I'll be back probably in about an hour and a half, an hour. Yeah, so if you need anything, jump on my Discord and ask me questions there, and I'll try and catch up with all the questions that everybody's been asking on Discord while I've been away. Lifelong Patriot. I found that some P cores run hotter than others, so bringing them down 1 megahertz, I can drop overall CPU and bring other cores around, cooler up a notch. Okay. Yeah, maybe I can run 6 gigahertz now. Yeah. I don't. That's another half an hour of me playing. Oh, Kagami, why did you do that? No, you're going to make me want to do that now. Damn it, you've made me want to do that. All right, let's just postpone. All right, let me have a look. My poor son is starving in the background. 14-year-old starving. Hey, it is a food. Jake, what do you want for lunch? He's going to say pasta again, isn't he? It's 1 o'clock now. Should have made lunch at 12. It's such a rabbit hole. Come on. All right, 6-0. 6-0, 6-0, 6-0, 6-0, 6-0, 6-0, 6-0. F10. Yes. That wasn't you, Live on Patriots. Kagami giving me ideas. Their fault. Oh, yeah. At least this shows you guys as well what if you do go down this go down this path. What was that? Throttle stop. What did I just do? Why isn't throttle stop starting? Why isn't throttle stop starting? Is it because it's started now? 6-0s. We got some 6-0s going on. VOD is 1.46. Test it in game. Let's just go straight to game. In the meantime, at least I can go and put the oven on. You've got ACD as well, have you? Okay. Yeah. No, 50 wasn't stable for the ring, I'm afraid. Can't run that one. It might be now, but it wasn't stable before for the ring. Yeah, it gave better performance. 49 anyway. Dipping down to 60s lit. I know you can't see that, but that says 5,900 right now. But when we ran this before, even if we had 6-1, it was doing exactly the same. So it might not have any difference. It's running 6 there briefly. Right, I'll kick this off and then I'll go and stick the oven on. It's like a multitask. Look, you got your 3,000 back. Explain that to me. It's a Jekyll and Hyde, that thing. Sometimes it is and sometimes not. I don't think it's temperature related. I don't think it's voltage related. It's just like there's something in the BIOS for the GPU that kind of switches on and switches off. Like there's an overclock, a slight overclock from when it knows it's gaming. And I don't know. It's weird. Right, gameplay. Pause. Keep the time. 9:09. So we're already down 5-9. 5-8, 5-9. I don't think this is going to make any difference, to be honest. I think we're going to end up back to where we were. I think the microcode's doing this. It doesn't really matter what you put in here. It's going to choose what it's got available for the voltages. And it doesn't seem to be increasing the voltages, so I don't know. Right, so anyway, that. Ready, steady, go. Right, be right back. Not getting sick. What a miss. Sorry. Got minted pork, minted lamb chops and beef burgers on it, and potatoes with garlic and rosemary. All in the oven that quickly. So look. What? Did I not press record? Yay.
Capture started.
That was a disaster then. Sit here and watch the non-existent 6000. Yeah, that microcode's doing something with the voltage frequency settings. I mean, maybe I could drop the AC a bit lower and get 6.0. But we went down to 50, didn't we? And it wasn't stable. I mean, yeah, there's no point. There's no point. Look, we're not getting 5, no, we're not getting 6.0 at any point. There's no point. Wait. Oh, what did I just do? There's no point in that at all. So I think to get 6.0, we'd need to go a bit more lower on the load line. So I don't think that's happening. Yeah. Well, basically, we've got to undo what the microcode has done. We've got to retro engineer what the microcode's done and then try and go the opposite direction. Oh, maybe CP would actually keep the frequency properly. Maybe. I'm happy with 5.9s. That's the best performance that I've had with that result. I know it triggers the OCD, but if we can get 5.9, so I think that number is intrinsically locked with that number at this point, and so we'd need to go down closer to 50 if we're running 6 gigahertz. Which core did you select affinity for the game? None. The game runs on P cores. It doesn't have an affinity. Shouldn't ever mess around with the game's affinity. You should select the GPU to do interrupts on the fastest ones, and the fastest ones are the ones that have got the higher boost clocks, like these two. So I put my GPU to have its IRQ interrupts on 4, and I put my USB controller, which is what all my peripherals plug into, my keyboard, mouse, controller, to have its interrupts run on 5, because they're, according to this this motherboard and this CPU, it thinks these two are the fastest two. So that's why, even though I'm limiting them all to 59, I am, I'm still utilizing these as being the fastest ones. Make sense? Anything else while the food's now in the oven? I mean, I could start messing around with voltage offsets, but I don't know. It's I really would like to stop the droop. I would really like to be able to use load line calibration to stop the droop. But as soon as I go from auto, which is 8, to 7, it adds 10 degrees centigrade and I get thermal throttling, which is crazy. I need like a mode 7.5. What I need in between there and there. but it's still allowing droop. So probably to stop droop completely, I'd probably have to go 4 or 5 to get rid of the droop under load. So your voltages run on idle higher, and then when you add load, it drops down a bit. So this is to basically stop it dropping down. So it's under load and on idle, it pretty much stays the same. And ideally, that's what you want. But unfortunately, that pumps in more voltage during the droop, and then it creates more heat, and then you're closer to the 100-degree throttling threshold. And then you get worse performance because once it throttles the temperature, then it downclocks the frequency and you get worse performance. So uh, 50 on the ring. Now I've said I've tried 50 on the ring. It wasn't stable in wide cruncher, and also it gave worse performance in game than 49 did. I joined the stream and you're talking about problems with droop. Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Val. Says they can 62 on the lowest voltage. What do you? Well, I don't know what that means. 62 on the lowest voltage. That was the older BIOS. Are you talking about the load line calibration? Or are you talking about the load line, the AC/DC load line? Is that what you're talking about? How are you other than the droop? New BIOS. Yeah, new BIOS. So Bill, it is giving, the new BIOS is giving worse performance. But I found but it has been made it more stable. So it's allowed me to have up to the top. It's allowed me to put my current limit back up to 400, and I had to lower it to 333 in order to get wide cruncher stable. So 400 is the official Intel recommended. You shouldn't go ever higher than that. So normally you just plug in these numbers, 320, 320 and 400 and job done, but it wasn't stable on the old BIOS. So the new BIOS has allowed me, so it's worse performance, but it's allowed me to then go from 333 back up to the 400 recommended limit. But then I was then getting, the frequency was dropping to 5.8 gigahertz instead of the 5.9. But I've managed to counter that happening by changing the AC load line from 60 down to 55, and now it stays at 5.9. So now I've actually got better performance and more stability on the new BIOS, but it required me to do some changes here and here. So yeah, I tested 50 on the older BIOS. So I mean, I could probably test it again on the new BIOS, but it's just going to be loading the ring, yeah, the memory controller harder. Yeah, so it's a net win. It is a net win, but I'm thinking I've only been able to get that back because I've been able to effectively then just tune the BIOS and then go and test it and see the results. If I was to do this on Ship's PC, I don't know what I'd have to do the same kind of process. It would require some overclocking, as it were. Which for the general punter is not, unless you know what you're doing, you're not going to be able to do it. CP also seems not quite so bad now. So instead of enabling this, which is like current overprotection, this before, when you enabled it, was dropping the overall performance by 25%, which is crazy. But now with the new BIOS and the new microcode, it seems to only be dropping it by 8%. So for the general person, maybe have that on. You wouldn't even notice in game. It does drop it a little bit in game, but maybe leave that protection on now. I don't know. But yeah, so to find these numbers and whether they're stable will require some actual testing. Will this happen to my i5 13600K? I think it's happening to all 13 and 14th Gen K, KF, and KS. I think it's happening to all of them. So you'll need a new BIOS, yes. The whole point of this microcode is to stop a further degradation of your CPU, because Intel were pumping in too much voltage into the CPU and it was degrading it over time. And it's affecting all 13th and 14th gen CPUs. Whether you've got instability yet, you might not have got it, but over time it would have failed. So this is the whole point of this microcode update and this new BIOS, is to stop it degrading. So anyone with a 13th or 14th gen CPU with a K in it, or a KF or a KS, should be upgrading to this latest BIOS. I mean, I was seeing voltages of 1.7 Kagami. I mean, that's insane on the earlier BIOSes. 1.7. So I've remade that CPU since then. Yeah, you need to know what you're doing. That's the problem. You don't need to know what you're doing if you're okay losing some performance. Then you don't really need to know what you're doing. Well, you still need to know how to update a BIOS, which is slightly different for MSI, for ASUS. So for ASUS, you kind of got to go, I think you got to go through some kind of, you got to download the new BIOS files. You got to do some renaming tool or something, and then you got to load it. Whereas MSI, you just basically download the file, the zip file, you unzip it onto a disk drive, you plug the disk drive into the correct USB port, which is associated with the BIOS in the back of your computer, and then you do the M-Flash, and then if you want to see how it happens, rewind the beginning of this stream, and you can see how I flash the BIOS. But if you've got any changes that you had in the previous BIOS, you should probably record on your phone or some other device, do a video recording and actually go through all the settings to make sure you can then reapply them manually, because you can't save the settings and they'll all reset with a BIOS update. BIOS updates reset everything to default, and you can't then load a saved profile because they're all wiped. And if you saved it to a USB stick, your previous profile, in fact, I'm going to save this now. Right. So what we're going to call this, Alex 7466 with the, well, no point in even saying the microcode. So that's the speed of my memory. Okay, so we've saved this BIOS now, we've backed it up, this configuration. But yeah, you update the BIOS, it'll wipe everything to default settings. So you have to manually set it all up again. So you need to have a recording on your phone or something else, a video, just point it at your screen as you just kind of click through everything, and then you've got a reference of how to set it all back to how you had it before if you've made any changes. I know my main concern is after updating the BIOS, should I do some tweaks manually or not? Well, as I say, updating the BIOS resets it, so you'll have to reapply anything you've had before, especially if you've got XMP, you'll definitely have to put that back on again. If you've got, turn off hyperthreading, turn off C states, make sure you're only running 8 E cores for a gaming PC. And then, yeah, and then the changes I've made, so manually setting your core max to the default, so you get rid of these overclock boosts. I've overclocked my ring ratio. I'll look at that again, I think, at some point. Reapplying all your overclocks for your memory, and then yeah, making sure that you've changed all your CPU stuff. Turn off virtualization things. These two. What else? And then, yeah, in here, as I say, hyper-threading off, C-states off, half your recalls off, and then set your power limits to whatever Intel recommends, and your current limit, and then you can start playing with the AC/DC load line if you want to get your performance back. Yeah, I've sussed it out. So I've now, so I had to, Paul, I had to drop my AC load line from 60 down to 55. That's allowed the frequency to stay at 5.9 gigahertz. I had it at 60 and it was dropping to 5.8 all the time. So I've managed to get the performance back. So that's now gone up to from 333 to up to 400, and that's gone from 60 down to 55. And that's got the performance back. It's actually better performance than I had earlier this morning because of that, basically. Because that's now stable. Sorted. Right. Any other questions? Oh, yeah. And disable CP is interesting in that it's not taking away 25% of the performance anymore. It's taking about 8% away. So it's not quite as bad as it was. In game, it's only taking like 3 FPS away, so you could run that, and you probably wouldn't notice in game. The CEP support, the current protection, current excursion protection support, and that's it. That's all the goodies I've done to my CPU. Get it fast and stable for gaming. Oh, and then make sure you've sorted out your fans as well. Make sure you've got all full speed running on your fans too. There's 10. Oh, hang on. I'll go it from there. Yeah, so we've gone back to 59. I just tried 60 and it was still downclocking it to 59. So obviously that microcode has done something to the VF table, the voltage frequency table, that says, with this voltage, you're only getting this frequency, sorry, tough. If you put it in another frequency, I'm still not giving you more voltage than you're allowed. So it's now being much stricter on voltages than it is on frequencies. If you bung in a frequency that you want, it's not going to then, it's going to say, no, sorry, not going over 1.5. Yeah, you should never really be running over 1.5 really on a daily. It's just going to be degrading it. It's just going to be degrading it. If you're running more than 1.5 voltage on your memory, on your CPU, it's going to be, over time, degrading it. Yeah, so this was the, these were the results, Paul, if you want to have a look. Show you the results. Yeah, yeah. Plus you'll be running cooler. Less voltage, cooler. Lower temperatures. Come on, hurry up, start already. But I mean, for 1.4, you're probably not going to be able to run more than, I don't know, 5.4, 5.5 gigahertz. Probably 5.5. Yeah, on my old PC, I was running standard stock. I was running solid 5 gigahertz fixed and 1.34 volts, I think it was. That's 5 gigahertz. Obviously, I'm nearing 6, so I need a lot more voltage, and it's not a straight line, it's kind of a curve upwards. Come on, why is this taking so long? There we go. So, Paul, if you're still watching, these were the results. Over it. So this was the old BIOS right here. So I was limited to 333 amps, and this was the old BIOS, the B2 BIOS. By changing immediately to the new BIOS, it dropped the performance from here, this one to the bottom one. And then since then, I've been trying different things with a number of P cores. That 61 didn't do anything. Get rid of that. Yeah, so it dropped the performance from here to here. So like you drop like 4 FPS here, going to the new one, and then I started being able to tune it a bit. So I managed to up the amps. That took it all the way up to here. I'll take off CEP as well because that's just confusing things. So I managed to get better performance by increasing the current because it was then stable. So I could have higher current. So that gave me a bit more performance. And then by dropping the AC load line from 60 to 55, it gave me even more performance. This is CapFrame X, free tool. Love CapFrame X, really good. So yeah, and the problem was, as soon as we went to the new BIOS, what it started doing was it started downgrading the CPU clock from 5.9 to 5.8 almost constantly. So the new microcode, it was downclocking it, and the only way I could get around that was reducing the AC load line, and then it stopped doing it. So now the AC load line is pretty much running at pretty much 5,900 constantly. So it's only 2 away, let the average. So it's running it all the time. So I've now got better performance than I started with. So this is the starting BIOS, and that's as good a overclock and performance as I could tune. This is now where I'm at. So I've gained like nearly 3.5 FPS there. Ooh, 3.5 FPS, but it's better performance now. And it's not running any higher temperatures. The temperatures are okay. Look, average 61 versus what was I running kind of before? It was running about 60. So, okay, 1 degree temperature, but that could be just due to the computer getting hotter and hotter the more I've used it. So it hasn't added any temperatures. No, they won't optimize it anymore, Kagami. No, I won't. MSI have had so many betas. If you look at the list of betas, pretty much they're all betas. They've actually just added one today that isn't a beta, but doesn't include the microcode update. There is a choice of 2. I don't know whether they're going to do more microcode updates. I don't know. I mean, given Intel are about to bring out the 15th gen processors, which are completely different, I'm not. They just want these problems to go away with the 13th and 14th, and they want people on the 15th. So, the 15th gen. So I don't think they'll be bringing out new ones. They won't be working on it. They'll be working on the new processors. So yeah, that's interesting. So yeah. So if you wanna keep the same performance, you're going to need, well, you probably already are running the maximum amps in your BIOS if you've done any tuning already, but you're going to need to drop your AC load line a little bit to compensate, and then you get your performance back. Right, lunchtime. Oh, Bert, hello. Yeah, I'm gonna have lunch, mate, and I'm gonna play some games. So if you're around after lunch, hit me up. I'm gonna run some. Just make sure this is stable. I mean, the one thing we've run a load of benchmarks, but the one thing we haven't done is I haven't run any games yet. So I want to run a few games just to make sure it's stable. I need to have a look at. I need to pop in at. I'm at work till 2. Okay. You got ads? Yeah. I'm gonna have lunch now, mate, and then I'll be back afterwards. So I'll stop the ads for you by stopping the stream. But yeah, hope you guys found that useful. I'll be back a bit later. All right, bye for now.